So, hi, Jeff, and thank you again for being on our podcast. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording about all of your big plans, so I'm super excited to dig into those in this podcast. So, the first question we want to ask you that all of our listeners need to know is, what is your story? How did you get into business?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm originally from Ghana. I was born and raised in Ghana, lived there for 8 years, came to the US when I was 8 years old. Um, and basically, moved to the US with my parents and all that good stuff, and went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which is where I got the bachelor's and master's degree. Um, what really made me want to go into this, I've always liked numbers. I've always wanted to be in business. My parents are entrepreneurs. They're big time real estate investors in Ghana. They actually own a lot of the real estate that's in Ghana right now. So following their footsteps, made me want to go into business. So I started my first business at the age of 5, actually. So just, selling products, goods, all that good stuff. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. I was raised in an entrepreneurship household. And to take it a step further, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs as well. But as far as the accounting, the thing goes, I always like numbers, always like money, and did some research, found that accounting is the backbone of business. So everybody needs a good accountant, and I knew that the job stability, like I would never be out of a job or out of a stable source of income for the rest of my life if I was an accountant. And there's a huge shortage of accountants right now in the world, actually, very massive. It's actually a very big problem. So my goal is to help build, help bridge that gap a little bit. But yeah, so with my entrepreneurship journey, with my parents being entrepreneurs, with me liking accounting, having an interest for accounting, did my first tax return back in 8th grade. So that was a long time ago.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so that was quite some time, and that's when I was slightly interested at the time. I wasn't super interested, but it was something interesting. It's like, okay, I can see myself, doing this stuff for at least a little bit. And then I basically, when I started at U of I started building a business plan back in 2010. That's when I first did my real tax return, first real tax return. So I started doing taxes for people back in 2010, so 9 years ago. And to this day the firm has grown to a pretty nice company. But yeah, that's the story as far as how I got started. I built a business plan. I was actually working at PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers for I interned my freshman year all the way through my senior year, and actually through grad school, college, 5 years or so. Well, 2 of those years were really more program related. They weren't really internship. So it's been 4 years interning slash program, and then I actually did 1 year full time, which I have a story behind that. But basically, didn't like it too much, so I decided to start my own tax firm. Which going into, I had about 100 clients before I actually launched the company.
Wow.
So how did you get 100 clients before you even launched the tax firm?
Yeah, so I started doing taxes in 2010. So over that time span, I was able to build clientele. It was quite some time. 2010, firm started in 2016, September 2016. So that was about 6 years to build. Over that 6 year span, I was able to accumulate 100 clients.
So would you say that most of that business that you accumulated before you actually launched, was that mainly word of mouth, or did you market it a little bit?
Yeah, it was strictly word of mouth. I didn't advertise anything. Strictly word of mouth, family, friends, colleagues, even coworkers at the time. Some people at PwC who didn't know how to do their own taxes, which to this day, they're still my clients. Every client that has started with me has basically stayed. So all those 100 clients that started, probably about 95% of them have stayed.
Wow.
So yeah, it was strictly 100% word of mouth. I couldn't advertise it online because PwC policy. So 100% word of mouth.
Okay. So I know probably back then you were probably doing, your sole job was probably, actually doing the taxes. Would you say that that is your same day-to-day process now, or does your day-to-day process look a little bit differently today than it did back then?
Yeah, so one thing I didn't mention is I actually run 9 other companies. So my day to day is a lot different that back then. So I'll give you a quick agenda, I should say. I wake up at I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. First thing I do is I say a prayer, you know, and I
Awesome.
thank God for giving me the life that He's given me today. That's the first thing I do. Next thing I do is I check emails. So I literally, I check emails from 6 to 7 is email check time. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. And then I actually do. So a lot of people don't do this, but I actually do because the reason why I do this is the morning time is when nobody's like texting me, calling me. So I take about an hour to like get something done. Um, and it also varies too. So sometimes I might not be able to get that hour. Because my work day or my calendar technically is open at 8 o'clock, or my office is open at 8 o'clock. So let's just say from 7 to 8, hop in the shower. I listen to Bloomberg Radio a lot. So Bloomberg is my financial news source. So listen to
Okay.
Bloomberg from 7 to 8. Hop in the shower, do whatever I gotta do. Get ready for my first meeting at 8 o'clock. It's usually a call. So I have a home office. All these companies are ran out of home office right now, so I don't have to go anywhere, which is really nice. But yeah, from 8 to 9 or so, I usually have meeting or so. Some days I have a ton of meetings, like Wednesdays. Every first and third Wednesday of the month, it's my client meeting day. So it really depends. So between 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., either client meeting or just doing some work, and then I eat lunch around noon. So I have my lunch from noon to 12:30, which I also listen to an audiobook while I'm eating, unless it's like a scheduled lunch where that one is usually an hour long. And then from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock or so, do the same thing. Go to the gym at between 5 to 6. From 6 to 9, do the same thing. And from 9 p.m. after, I actually don't work after 9 o'clock anymore. I recently have a significant other. So
Congrats, man.
yeah, appreciate it. So after 9 o'clock, I mean, it depends. After 9 o'clock is usually time for her and I to spend together, and also during the weekends, and we talk throughout the day, of course. But as far as like physically spending time with each other, it's usually 9 p.m. and I go to bed by midnight every night. So my bedtime is midnight. Wake up at 6 a.m. Some days I go to bed by 10 to try to get my 8 hours, but I get about 6 to 8 hours of sleep every single day. So that's a typical day. As far as like the in between day to day, I don't really do the. So I review the tax returns. I don't actually key in the data. I have a team. For example, I have interns. I have a team in India that processes the tax return. So they're actually the ones that key in the data. I go in myself, or I have reviewers now. We'll go in and we'll review the tax returns. And so my job now is more of a final reviewer. Also, I am the strategic, I'm the leader of the team. So we have team meetings, for example. Every Monday we have a team meeting. And yeah, so a lot of my stuff is more strategy as opposed to tactical related stuff.
Yeah. And I kind of wanted to ask about that a little bit because you said you run about 9 other companies. And I always wonder, were you always really good at kind of delegating and, building that team and that foundation? Or was it something that you had to learn? And if so, what was your process in learning that?
Yeah, so I definitely had to learn. I've always been a do-it-yourselfer, which now I barely do anything by myself, including clean my own house. So I've learned, and just to automatically touch upon your point, how did I do it? The book, The 4 Hour Work Week, helped me out a lot. So
Man.
The 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss, very good book. And basically, yeah, it's how to automate your life. So automation came into my life when I read that book. So now my assistant, for example, is in the Philippines right now. She's handling some things. She's handling she's a full-time assistant. She works from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and she gets paid, virtual assistant rates, which aren't the highest in the world. But so from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., she's assigned certain tasks. She's just like me. And I would say to everyone, time management is very important. Time management is huge. For me, if you look at my calendar right now, I remember when I showed my significant other my calendar once. He was like, "Whoa," But yeah, everything that I do is in my calendar, literally. Everything that I have going on that day, including time to spend with her, time to check emails, time to do everything. Every single thing is detailed in my calendar. So and I even shared it with her. So, between certain times, she knows, for example, when not to text, not to call, because we have that, that type of connection. So, and just so we're not married yet, but, hopefully next year, that's actually the plan. That's why I'm calling my significant other as opposed to my wife.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so, time management is very important. So my assistant, she basically runs everything that I do day to day, checking emails, phone calls, things like that. Automation is huge. You have to automate your business. And then also, so that book taught me, and then I have two business coaches. One who's more strategic related stuff. So he teaches me, like, for example, put everything in your calendar. I always had put things in my calendar, but it was never like time blocked. So now I specifically block off time for certain tasks. They're known as Pomodoros, or, like 30-minute time spans, or 30, 55 minute, 25. They have these like plans and stuff. But basically, you set a specific time for a specific task. You make sure it gets done. So you don't check emails, you don't respond to calls, you don't text message. Luckily, phones have do not disturb mode now. Mm-hmm. So it's a feature I actually taught my significant other this last night, literally. So she's actually in nursing school, so I was like, hey, you're studying right now, and because she was getting distracted. And I was like, can't get distracted. You're studying. It's crunch time. Her exam was today. So she had to specifically put, said, do not disturb me between these times. And she set a time block for herself to get the studying done, which, she was able to get done. So just little things like that, very important to have. Time management to me as an entrepreneur, especially as a serial entrepreneur, is the most important skill that I can have. Because without managing the time, things don't get done, people get mad. So yeah, automation is huge. That's one thing I've been able to do. And then also just knowing how to assign tasks to people that know how to do it. You can't assign task A to person A if person A only knows how to do task B. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn over time, and believe this is the first year that I've really delegated a lot. Last year I kind of did a lot of things myself too, but everything now in my life is automated because people know what to do. People are assigned tasks that they can handle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they are challenged, but don't challenge somebody too much to the point where it's not being effective or efficient. So person that prepares business returns in the morning, it's the same person. The person that prepares personal returns in the morning is the same person. The person that reviews those, same person. The person that reviews nonprofits, the same person. So I had to learn how to delegate with the help of my business coaches, reading books such as The 4-Hour Work Week, and then the 5-Second Rule. It's also a good book, more mindset related. Mm-hmm. And then naturally, I'm a motivated person. So, my goal in life is to become one of the wealthiest people to ever live. So in order to do that, I have to get these things done, and there is no room for slacking or anything like that. So you got to surround yourself with the right resources.
Right. Yes. You spoke a little bit about your business coaches, and I know we preach about like the power of having a mentor and the advantages of having a mentor a lot of times. Explain to our audience how you kind of found your business coaches, because maybe there's somebody out there who may need one and are just not realizing it, and they need a strategy on, finding one.
Yeah, so I'll even go as far as giving the names of my business coaches. You know, I usually don't do this, but my
Appreciate it.
first one is my accounting business coach, who I don't really meet. I've never actually physically met him before, but I will be this year. So he's a coach that he trains accountants all across the country. His name is Andrew Argue. I found him on a Facebook ad. So, you know, his Facebook ad popped up and I was watching his stuff. I was like, wow. I mean, this was like 2 years ago. I didn't sign up for him or anything at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was great stuff. I learned a lot. He was like, hey, you know, why are you charging $150 for, you know, these tax returns and this and that? So just that alone, didn't pay anything for him. Just watching his videos, got a lot of value out of it. And then last year I decided to finally sign up for him. Literally paid about I think it was 8 grand or so, to get lifetime access to him essentially. So I was able to pay for him, you know, get the coaching. He puts you through a 10-week intense course training, but it's a lifetime. There's Facebook groups. There's like, you know, strategy sessions you can take advantage of. So Andrew Argue, found him on Facebook. It was through an ad, and he's helped my firm triple our pricing. Um, you know, not because, you know, not because we're doing it just to do it. We're doing it because we were significantly underpriced.
Yeah.
Compared to the industry, compared to what we should have been pricing. So with that, of course, firm's revenue has increased by a pretty substantial amount. So our price per tax return, which is my big focus last year, has actually gone up just from hiring him. And of course, he's taught me other things, how to conduct meetings and all this other stuff, how to train team members. And now my team also has, you know, we have about 20 people in the tax firm now. My team also has access to him. So for $8,000 investment, return on investment has been very significant so far. And then my second coach, now this one is big. I'm actually meeting him for the first time in person on this Friday. We're having a purpose day. His name is Rick Justice. And Rick, he's coached billionaires. You know, he's coached Charlie Munger, for example, who's Warren Buffett's right-hand man. So yeah, this is a big time. It's a big time. You know, this is not like Andrew Argue is big. He's more for accountants though. This guy right here, he's a big timer. And you know, for him, I can't disclose, unfortunately, how much I pay him every month because he told me not to tell people. But I would say whatever you're paying him, and he is open to, you know, looking for new prospects, or, you know, if it's a good fit. He only works with certain types of people who are self-motivated, people who have something much bigger ahead as opposed to a one-man shop, you know, type thing. So he's been able to help me expand my businesses, not just my tax firm. He's, you know, with the tax firm, we also talk about pricing, so he confirmed the pricing too low. He's also helped me expand my services, so my service offerings have expanded. And he's helped me rebrand. So instead of just being a tax guy, I'm now a serial entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. So my brand has also expanded. And now we're working on this big project to, you know, Badu Enterprises is formerly the company that I own that runs all the different businesses. And now, you know, he's actually training my, you know, my soon-to-be / significant other. So she's also in the mix, and she's actually going to take over our life insurance business. We have a life insurance company that we run as well. And she's actually about to get licensed. She literally just booked the license exam today, so hopefully she'll be able to, I'm sure she'll be able to get through that. She's very smart. But yeah, you know, his name is Rick Justice. Found him. So he kind of found me. One of his team members was an accountant, and he was on LinkedIn. Hey, I can help you grow your business. Didn't really believe it too much. I didn't really believe in coaching last year. But this year, I mean, coaching is everything. You have to have a coach. You absolutely need somebody who's more experienced than you. Yes. So, you know, I found him on LinkedIn, and then we had a few calls. We even had some heated moments at time before, you know, I signed up. And now he's helped all of my businesses, not just my tax firm. He's helped all of my businesses elevate to the next level.
And that's actually pretty amazing that you mentioned that, because the first guy you mentioned, Andrew, what's his last name? Andrew? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We actually got a chance to see him at the 10X Growth Conference in Florida. and I don't know if you remembered it, but he was the tax guy. He was like one of the first people to actually go up on stage. So it's actually cool. And I've been seeing a lot of his Facebook ads too. And I kind of just been like, just kind of passively watching what he's been doing, but I never knew anybody who actually met with him. So the fact that you've actually done some work with him, like that actually speaks volumes, especially, you know, with you being the type of entrepreneur you are. So that's huge. It's such a small world.
Yeah, he's definitely legit. I would say that he's a very legitimate guy, no BS type of guy. Love people like that. And yeah, he knows his stuff, and he's been able to help the firm. So definitely big ups to him.
Cool.
Nice. So like you mentioned that you have 8 other businesses. What all do you do since you're a serial entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'll go down the list. It's actually more than 8. I mean, it's actually more than 10, to be honest. But I like to keep it in a 10 core. There's some little things that I do too, but so there's a tax firm, you know, Badu Tax Services. That's the firm that. So let's just start from top to bottom. Badu Enterprises is it's the company, multinational conglomerate that runs all these companies. So, you know, that's the company that owns Badu Tax Services, which is a tax firm. Um, and then it's a tax/accounting firm. So we do bookkeeping, we do accounting, taxes, we do anything that's money or accounting type related stuff we do. Then you have the life insurance company, which is called Badu Protection, which is soon to be changed because my soon-to-be basically is a part of the company now, so she wants to add a little more spice to it. So she's a very creative person, by the way. She's also good. Not only is she a nurse, but she's also very good at marketing too, which is always nice to have on your team. But yeah, so that's our life insurance company. So we do life insurance, health insurance, so any type of life insurance policy you need, health insurance policy you need, annuity, anything that's life and health related, we can basically do. And then you have Badu Investments, which is actually 2 companies in one. And it's funny how I say that. It's actually 7 separate companies in one company, but we for now, let's just keep it simple. Badu Investments. It's a real estate investment company that owns a lot of properties on the south side of Chicago, south suburb, as well as Gary, Indiana, and then also acquired some land in Ghana recently.
Nice.
So it's now a multinational or a global real estate investment company, and it owns a car rental. So we lease out nice fancy cars, Maseratis, BMWs, Mercedes, Jaguars. We rent out through a platform like Turo, for example. So yeah, if somebody needs a car, they come to the Turo platform, they find my page or the Badu Investments page, and they can book the car and be on their way. So we do that. Yeah, this is our time right now where it's getting really, really nice as far as business goes on that end. So that's that, and then so that company is like, I guess we can call it one, but it's really a lot of companies in there. And then you also have we have a credit repair company. So basically, Badu Credit, you know, credit protection, or Badu Credit. You just call it Badu Credit for now. It doesn't have like a formal thing. We're still working to rebrand a lot of these companies.
Yeah.
But we have a credit repair company, so we do credit repair for anybody in the U.S. What is that, number 4? And then number 5, we have entity formation. So if you need your LLC, incorporation, whatever you need, we'll do it. We don't do nonprofits, but we partner. One of my business partners is an attorney. His name is Donald Kielbasa, and he does more complicated formations. So jointly with him, we do entity formation. So that's number 5. Number 6, I'm a financial coach. So I help coach. It's called Badu Financial Fitness. So we help get people in financial shape, good financial shape, basically. So we're not financial advisors, but we will help you as far as getting you in some really good financial shape. So what is that, number 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Number 7 is I'm a tutor. So I help tutor. I'm a tutor/teacher. So I teach classes at the Chicago Urban League, and I also tutor for the tax section of the CPA exam. And then number 8 is small business lending consulting. So if you need business credit or anything like that, we have a company that's all they do. And we've partnered with National Corporate Credit for that. And then number 9, and sometimes I forget some of these companies, but number 9 is property tax appeals. So Badu Appeals is a property tax appeal company. This is big business in Chicago right now. A lot of people in Cook County are getting overassessed, so we help appeal the property taxes of Cook County. And we have other counties too, but Cook County is our big focus. And last but not least, what is the number 10 business on my list? I guess I'm also a motivational speaker, so I do a lot of public speaking. I speak across the country. I do about 100 speaking engagements every year. So yeah, I don't get bored very often. I was telling my significant other the other day, I was like, I can literally be busy 24/7 if I want, you know. I dedicate time. I dedicate a lot of time to her just to help her, grow, develop, and all the other significant other stuff. But yeah, so it's busy stuff, busy life. The key is automation and delegation. I work about 10 hours a week now during non-tax season. During tax season, I go back up to like 40 hours a week, sometimes more. But right now, it's pretty relaxed. About 10 hours, 10 to 20, sometimes 20. But I try to work no more than 20 hours. And when I say work, a lot of people they think that I just sit around and, just sip on pina coladas or something all day. So it basically, my definition of work is when you're doing a specific task that requires you to actually like manually do something. So for me, taking a call with a client, that's not work. To me, that's not work. Doing a tax return or reviewing a tax return, that is absolutely work. So anything that doesn't require me to like physically do something or physically like, enter in something is not work to me. So that's what I mean by work.
Yeah.
And in about 5 years or so, I'll actually be retired, meaning that now I have to work 10 to 20 hours in order to sustain the lifestyle that I want. But in 5 years, I will have to work 0 hours, no hours, and still maintain a lifestyle that I want. So I'm working on a very aggressive retirement plan right now. So I'm taking my own advice with the financial fitness. I'm on a very aggressive 5-year retirement plan. The point is, I don't want people to get confused by retirement. People think, oh, you're going to be old and you're going to be, wrinkly and you're not going to work another day in your life. Retirement is simply choosing not to work if you don't want to work. Meaning that even if I'm on vacation right now, I'm still sustaining a lifestyle and bringing in enough passive income in order to live that lifestyle. So that, like my goal, I plan to travel a lot. And I talk, tax strategies too a lot. But I'm going to 4 countries this year, for example. Never done that before in my life. This year I'll be going to Dominican Republic, Thailand, Jamaica, and then Ghana. I go to Ghana every year basically, but I've added 3 more destinations this year. So yeah, my goal is to do that more on a full-time basis, travel more, speak more, and just do things that don't require me, the physical, the manual labor type stuff. Basically.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I love that plan. That's goals. But a question I did have, because you have all these companies, so some of our listeners, they don't know whether they should put their companies in S Corps or LLCs or C Corps. So how did you structure like all of those companies?
Yeah, I personally believe all companies should be in LLCs unless you want to go public or it's a nonprofit. So for example, real estate should never be held in anything other than an LLC because there's a thing called built-in capital gains. And in general, you just complicate your life way more when you go through the corporate structure. So LLC for me, keep things simple. It's low maintenance, it's cheap, especially in the state of Illinois and Indiana and all these other states. So I like to make things less complicated than they need to be. Now, can I have a board meeting? I can do the same. You know, I can have a board meeting if I have an S corp or an LLC. For example, one of those trips that I just mentioned is a board meeting. As a board member in my own company, I get to have board meetings, even if I'm the only board member. So my Jamaica trip, for example, which I'll be going with my significant other, we're going to Jamaica for about 4 or 5 days. Nice resort. You know, we will be having fun, but at the same time, it's going to be time for us to discuss some business things too. We're not just going to be there having fun. You know, we're also going to be talking some business. So that, therefore, I can declare that as a board meeting formally. What that means is that's 100% tax deductible business trip that leads to less taxable income when I go to file my taxes. So yeah, I mean, I would say when it comes to this LLC, just keep your life simple. You know, corporation is fine, but LLC, low maintenance, it costs little money, don't have to do a whole lot, and it's flexible. You get to choose how you want to be taxed. So you can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, partnership, S corporation, or C corporation. With an S corporation, and then once you hit $40,000 in net profit, then you want to consider being taxed as an S corporation, not necessarily becoming an S corporation. This is the part where a lot of people get confused, but you're just electing to be taxed as an S corp by filling out the 2553 form, which you might want to have an accountant do that, because I've seen people screw up that form a lot. But basically, you know, with the S corp, it's nice to have, but you're limited. You only have 100 owners. You can't do business. You cannot have foreign owners, or it can't be owned by a creative entity. So it limits your options when it comes to that. And it's high maintenance, meaning you have to have stockholder certificate, board meetings, which you can do them in Vegas, Bahamas, wherever you want to do them. You know, you can have all these different things. But to me, I just don't like the high maintenance stuff. I like low maintenance. I don't want to do a lot. But I still want to protect myself, which is the number one reason why you form entities. It's not about taxes, it's about, protection. And you want to take it to the next level and have things like, if you own a real estate, land trust. Land trusts, all real estate should be owned in a land trust. And you want to have a living trust that you have for your family, all that good stuff. Everything should be owned by your living trust, including your companies and all that, unless it's not legal or it's not. Like some licenses, for example, the CPA license requires an actual person to own the company. So, yeah, I would say LLC is the way to go. And just keep your life easy, simple, don't complicate.
Sure. Awesome.
So who is your ideal client and why?
Yeah, so my ideal client is a young real estate investor, one who has room to grow, not stuck in their ways. So, someone who's young, I would say young by meaning a millennial, somebody who's between the age of, and I'll expand it. I know it's 18 through 35 now, I believe, or 19 through 36. Yeah. I'd say 21 through 35 is a good range of a client's age or demographic. And real estate, meaning a real estate investor, specifically residential real estate investor, because I believe the commercial real estate industry is slowly falling a little bit, just because of the home office, the virtual, the robots, and all that. People aren't requiring a lot of physical brick and mortar anymore, but you still need a place to live. So residential real estate investor who has room to grow and also willing to do some partnerships. We're actually working right now. One of my business partners reached out to me saying that, hey, he has this huge real estate investment fund he wants me to be a part of. It's going to revamp the whole city of Chicago, basically. So somebody who does residential and who's also willing to, they don't have to, of course, but they're at least somewhat interested in growing and developing more areas in real estate.
Nice. Cool. So what is some advice that you could offer to people that are probably new to your industry and they want to grow? Because earlier you said that, you grew this company from pretty much no clients to 100 clients to
before the launch.
And then I don't even know how many clients you have now, but I'm pretty sure it's tons if you're thinking about going public one day. So what is some advice that you could offer some people? Because sometimes people get caught up in the minute details of things that, you know, they can't figure things out. So what's some valuable advice that you have used in your business that helped you scale?
Yeah, so so for one, we do offer a formal coaching program in our firm for somebody who's looking to start their own firm. We basically do it through my firm, and that's where we have about 10 or so independent contractors now that do that. So the program takes you through coaching. It's a formal coaching program, and with the assistance of my coach, we're incorporating an even more formalized coaching program now. So if somebody's interested and somebody's listening that's looking to get into the accounting or tax world, that's a great opportunity. It's really no cost. It's, you know, all you have to pay is a background check fee, and get you a few business cards. So we have that. But my advice to anybody, I would say there's 5 steps to starting any business. You know, first step, it got to be something that you like to do. The first step, got to be something you want to do, and it can't just be for money. Like, if you're doing anything just for money, you're gonna fail miserably at it. So
Found that out.
exactly. So and that's more of a long-term thing. I mean, you know, some things, quick flip here and there, that's cool, but long-term, you're starting a business for the long term. I don't think anybody is trying to start a business just to be a 1-year, 2-year operation. So it got to be something you want to do. Like me, I love doing taxes. I was doing tax for free. Those 100 people, I was actually doing it for free. So, you know, some people paid me voluntarily, but, you know, for compliance reasons and all that, technically couldn't charge anybody to do their taxes. So I did tax for free for 6 years. That's how much I loved it. So it has to be something you at least like. You don't have to love it, but you at least have to like it. 2 is you have to research the industry using sites like Hybris World. So, you know, you research the industry, find out who are the top competitors, how fast the industry is growing, what are your cost structure like, and what's the potential for this industry. You want an industry that has good potential. Tax prep, I can tell you, has, man, if only you knew the opportunities available in taxes. Probably want to be a tax professional, but
I'm probably gonna look it up now.
Right.
So you have that opportunity. You want to do that research, and then you build a business plan around that research. You want to build a full-blown business plan. It doesn't have to be a 100-page long thing. It can be a 2-pager. My business plan started with 1 page. Now it's about 10, 20 pages or so. So you want to build a business plan, and then you want to test the market. So on these 100 clients, that's how I was able to test it on them. I was to say, okay, based off my structure, you know, this is how I do the taxes. Are people willing to sign up, and would they think it would be something nice? And the answer to that was yes. So we tested it out, doing taxes literally after work every day. I would be doing taxes, people calling me at work. And then I got to the level where it's like, it was too much. Like, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't be working full time, working 60 hours a week and doing taxes on the side. So I had to part ways with PwC on September 16, 2016. I remember that date like it's my birthday now. Left the company because that's when it was time to fully launch. But the key is I knew that it was something I wanted to do. I followed the 5-step model. You know, I had the clients going in. I didn't just start a company without having a single client.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's very dangerous. I did the research. I didn't just one day wake up and say, hey, I want to leave PwC, and I had no plan behind it. I built a business plan for 6 years. Not saying you have to spend that long. Nowadays, I can build a business plan in a week, you know. But basically, you have to go through these 5 steps. Second thing I would recommend is get a mentor or a coach, somebody who knows what they're doing, who's already in the industry. Third advice is to be patient. This is a process. Now, with taxes, it's a fast-growing thing. I mean, I started a company with $5,000 in costs. Like, that's how much I had to pay to start the company. To this day, I don't have a physical brick and mortar thing. I mean, people can come see me in my home office, but we don't have this big fancy office anywhere. We were thinking about it, but we don't need it. 95% of our work is virtual. So, you know, and this, you'll find all these things out as you're doing your research too. But yeah, and then you also have to create a competitive advantage. We have 4 competitive advantages in our company. For one, we basically we're flexible, so we have platforms where you can work with us virtually. Two, we have a lot of access to resources. If you need a real estate agent, if you need a lender, if you need some things we'll do in house, some things we outsource it. And then three, we educate a lot. That's what the firm was actually built upon, was education. I seen that there was a need for people to get educated on taxes. People had no clue about their taxes, you know. And then last but not least, we have longevity. You know, I'm 26 years old. The average age of a CPA or an accountant is 60. So, and people, I get so many emails from, hey, my accountant is dying, or he already died, he's getting sick. I mean, that's scary. You know, somebody you want to work with for a long-term standpoint, and they're basically dying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's something. And what we're doing, we're actually acquiring the clients of these soon-to-be, or you know, the deceased, basically. With all due respect, of course, but
yeah, it's a problem, and you have to solve the problem.
Exactly. So that's another thing. That's another advice. You have to be a problem solver. You can't just start a business just to start it. We're trying to grow something massive here. We're not trying to be a small mom and pop shop. We're trying to be larger than H&R Block, but making a much bigger impact than H&R Block. Even TurboTax, which I love to this day. And I own shares in all these companies, but at the same time, there's a big reason why. I want this to go on a global. It is a global company right now, but I wanted to, to keep expanding. So yeah, and just to answer your question, we're currently at about 1,500 clients on the books as of today.
Nice.
We've been able to grow pretty fast. But yeah, it's patience. I mean, we grew very fast. Last year we ended up at 750. This year we're at 1,500. Well, we're only in April.
Our target for the year is more than double.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our target for the year is 2,000. We started with 100. First year, 300. Second year, 750. Third year, 1,500. End of the year, we're looking to get to 2,000. And next year, we're ramping up to 5,000. Not just because we like numbers, but we're trying to make a big impact, a lasting impact on as many people as we can while maintaining a good workflow. So I'm actually coaching people, for example, to even take over my position as somebody who works. I'm usually the primary person that works with the clients, but I'm training people on how to spread myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, those leaps, they got bigger and bigger as the years went on. So that's amazing. And we do want to wrap it up to respect your time because you are a very busy man. So the second to last question is, we're Abundant Culture and you're on the Abundant Culture podcast. So how do you spread abundance?
So how do I spread abundance? I mean, for one, I give a lot of financial literacy talk shows. I have a radio show I do every Monday night. So just little things like that, I do it in a way where everybody is able to benefit.
Yeah.
So to me, abundance to me is the ability to grow infinite, the ability to have infinite amount of something. But for me, I spread an infinite amount of knowledge. You can find my podcast online. You can find my Facebook page, YouTube channel, my blog, my art. I mean, you can find so much stuff online just by looking online. Literally, you can be swamped with a year's worth of information if you just did some research. So that's one way. And two, as I'm bringing in these contractors, we're not just teaching taxes. We're teaching other things. We're teaching how to run 10 companies simultaneously. Or how to run 100 companies. One of my mentors runs 100 companies. He's one of the wealthiest men in Ghana right now. And that's abundance. That's like,
that's the max.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I do. I teach people how to do or how to duplicate what I'm doing, but I even teach them how to do it better than I am. So whatever mistakes I've made, I tell them. And then also other ways I give out scholarships. I just gave out a scholarship on Thursday through National Association of Black Accountants, Chicago chapter, which I'm treasurer currently.
Nice.
And I'll be, starting a Badu Foundation next year. Wanted to do it this year, but I wanted to add my soon-to-be wife to the foundation. That way we can add her cause to it too. So yeah, it's very important to have that like the foundation is very important.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to be teaching financial literacy and all that good stuff, mainly to the homeless. We do believe everybody deserves a second chance.
That's amazing.
That's amazing, bro. Well, I'm so glad that we invited you on. I'm so glad that you agreed to actually come on to our show and speak to a lot of our viewers. You provided tons, I mean, absolute tons of information. So I'm pretty sure we'll have to have you on for a part 2 one day whenever it carves out in your schedule.
Yeah.
But the last question I want to ask is, since you provided so much value, and I'm pretty sure there are people that need one of your many services, how can somebody get in contact with you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is you can call me, or you can text me, and I always give out my phone number, 773-679-7198. That's my business cell, so you can contact me at any time. Please just don't call me after 9 o'clock.
Don't get the man in trouble.
Right.
Exactly. So that's the only request that I have when people utilize that number.
Yeah.
But yeah, truly, you can call me anytime. If you don't get to me, my assistant is there, and I always call the person back immediately as soon as I can. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. You can also email me at, I use my tax firm email mainly, so jb@badutaxservices.com. If you want somewhere you can find everything that I do, it's jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. That's where you'll find everything about me. That's on the business related side, and even some personal stuff too in there. So for resources, jeffbadu.com is your one-stop shop for everything. It has everything that I do on there. And then my phone number is also on there in case in case people miss it. And also my email address is on there. They have there's a chat feature in there. So yeah, but you can also other sites too. You don't really need this, but BaduEnterprises.com, BaduTaxServices.com. So you can go on an individual company websites, but I would say JeffBadu.com has everything.
Nice. So you heard it here first, folks. Reach out to the man. I'm pretty sure there's tons of different things.
Something that he can help you with.
Right.
Something.
Across 10 companies, you need something that he got.
Right.
The law of averages. But definitely, thanks for coming on again to our podcast. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes.
And feel free to contact us anytime you may need something.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate it.
For sure.